Hey everybody, today I'm going to be talking about shadow people, my experience with them, as well as like cultures and religions and the world's perception of what they could be. So I'm going to go over all that. I don't know if like way back early on my channel I may have talked about this subject before, but we'll get into a little bit more depth today. So I was 4 years old, like 1986. Okay, we're talking 1986, 87. I had a bedroom. I lived in a town called Scotts, Michigan. It is like, I don't even know if 500 people live there. It's tiny. Cornfields surrounding it, kind of like Children of the Corn is how I describe this town. Nice folks, no killer kids or anything like in the movie, but I used to see shadow people in my room, and I remember going to school the next day and thinking about it, how I felt better and safer now that it was like daytime and I was at school playing with my friends. So it was definitely something that carried with me throughout the day. Now, what would happen was I would lay in bed, and there was a staircase that like led into my room. And I would see these shadow people figures walk up my staircase, go around, stop at the foot of my bed and disappear. And then they would do it over and over and over again. And then I would scream for my mom, and then they would stop, and I'd go sleep in my mom's room. And she just brought that up the other day. She remembers. And so what they did was they cut the tree down outside my room because they thought the shadows were like going against the wall from the leaves or something. But it did not stop. And they put me in my brother's room. But I could still see the staircase from where my bed was at in his room. And they just started coming in there and disappearing at the foot of my bed. Or kind of at the door. More like disappearing as soon as they got in the door. And you guys, I swear to God, I'm a religious person. I really do think this happened. I don't think I was dreaming. I could have been. I was only 4, but it seemed very real. One of them pushed me down on the floor and tickled my feet, and it made this crazy sound of laughter, like menacing laughter, and I never saw him again. And the thing about them walking up the stairs like that, I kind of forgot to mention, is they did have a sound. They sounded like television snow. Back in the olden days, television wasn't 24 hours, and it would go to snow at a certain point, and that's what it sounded like. So what the hell are these things anyway? Alright, so shadow people are described as dark human-shaped figures. They often appear out of the corner of your eye, but that wasn't the case with me. I freaking saw these things full force, okay? They're associated with feelings of dread, fear, or being watched. Yeah, that's very interesting because I have experience with that. Okay, so what does the occult have to say about this? A couple of things I wrote down. Shadow people are described in the occult as lower astral beings who exist between worlds. Okay, it often blames Tuplas and egregores. Now, you guys, I'm not very well versed in either of those things, so I'm doing my best. I wrote down the best of my understanding what these things are. Okay, but basically what it is like creating things out of thought. Thoughts on fear or trauma can manifest dark energies and shadow figures in the physical and astral planes. If you're on YouTube, I'll put a link to my astral projection video down in the description. I talk about my experience with astral projection. So when I was 4, I could see maybe doing that and not knowing what it was, and maybe I was seeing whatever is shielded from us in normal life. Because, I mean, I don't think I was having a psychosis at 4. But, I mean, I could have been. I don't know. Okay, what do they say in Islam? Islam, they have the jinn. And I don't know a whole lot about this. I do know one person on my Facebook page that practices Islam. And I guess I could have asked him. But the jinn, okay, so they suggest that the shadowy figures are made from smokeless fire and they exist parallel to humans. And then my husband, I was telling him about that, and he mentioned the genie from Aladdin. And then I got into how the genie was good, and he said it's amazing how many things I base on, like, movies and Disney movies. Whatever. Yeah. So we gotta talk about the Hat Man. I did not see the Hat Man, okay? He's interpreted as a watcher spirit connected to Saturn, the planet of time, death, and shadow. Okay. The Navajo Native Americans have the skinwalkers. Some have described them as dark figures that stalk the night. I, refuse to listen to anything anymore about the skinwalkers. That scares me. That is scary. And even the government got in on, studying it. I think there's something to it. It's kind of creepy. Okay. So, now we got to talk about the Nephilim. Okay, so this is coming from the Book of Enoch, which is in the Ethiopian Bible. I covered this a couple videos ago, but we'll just kind of paraphrase it here, okay? So, the Nephilim, when the angels first came to Earth, they mated with female human women, okay? Because in the Bible, it says the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and then God caused that flood. So that's in the Bible. But in the Ethiopian Bible, they get, very in detail about it. So the angels, who I'm assuming are now fallen at this point because they're disobeying God, they mate with human women and they give birth to giants that start wreaking havoc all over humanity, like cannibalizing and stuff like that. They became violent. They corrupted humanity. So God caused that flood. However, it said the spirits of the Nephilim still roam the earth. So, what's interesting, guys, is seeing shadow people at the age of 4 and being in psychosis and seeing weird things now. It just makes me think there's something there. I'm not saying psychosis is any way to live. I get really depressed and I get weird, okay? I do weird things. But, I don't know. I think they're related somehow. Have you ever had a shadow person experience? If so, let me know in the comments, okay? Bye, guys.